You started to see yourself with your ex in the future, that ex who wasn't your ex back then. You started to question yourself about where you stand with them because they were putting you to the side. You tried to get an answer from them, but there was something that caught your attention. When you started to ask questions at the time, your ex never gave you a conclusive answer or make it crystal clear why they do what they do. There was no explanation, just a basic answer that left you back to square one. But you continued beyond these situations. You thought it would be a temporary issue, that they would change, that they wouldn't exclude you anymore. But then you started to see it wasn't a temporary issue, that it was here to stay. As time went by, the problems began to deepen. You began to realize that your ex was only looking out for you when they truly needed you. After that, it was as if the person disappeared. It was as if you were living with a ghost. You weren't important. They preferred to be with other people instead of you. After anger or fight, you realized they were with you, but that it was done reluctantly, that they seemed to be there out of obligation, or because you told them to, or it was done to make you conform, so that you would stop demanding certain situations. They were not of any use to you either. The idea of arguing with someone, idea of exchanging words, or someone changes something bothering you, it is so that the person understands later, assimilates it into practice, but puts it into practice fully convinced that what they're doing is the right thing. Your ex put it into practice so that you'd stop harassing them with complaints and criticisms. So you also realize that the relationship between the two of you was a very complicated relationship, but it ended suddenly from one day to the next, and there was no reason, motive, or circumstance that this person gave you to end the relationship. Your ex had been enjoying for a long time, or was enjoying the pleasures of love with someone else, but they speculated a lot about when to take that big step of ending the relationship with you, to go with the other person. That's why, even though the relationship had many ups and downs, that despite those problems, you still had expectations that this relationship could move forward and grow. You continued building a life together. Up until a certain point, you came to think that you and your ex were made for each other. It wasn't a relationship where things were always negative, but it clearly was something you weren't seeing. And when the breakup happened, it was like a lot of transparency. Everything became clearer. You really began to see what they were up to. Things continued with you, with some ups and downs, good or bad, but they were still with you at the moment of the breakup. When your ex finished putting together the possibilities, their future, it was a direct breakup that didn't allow for any kind of conversation, much less for any kind of reconciliation. You suspected there was someone else, but there was no reliable final proof. But after the breakup, you realized that your ex didn't care at all. Then you began to have stronger indications that there was someone else, that your ex had already rebuilt their future. All this was done consciously for some of you. For others, it was witchcraft done on them by the other person. Your ex always put themselves first. In fact, the sentimental issues of this person always took a back seat. And this was something they never changed. In childhood, your ex never built a strong emotional bond with their family. Only later on, they built that bond individually, but never developed it. They pretended with you, showed you an attentive, loving person, but in reality, their feelings were always superficial and cold. They only made decisions that favored themselves. Later on, you got to know the true side of the person. There were moments where you showed your love and other moments were less. You never know what this person truly thought on sentimental things. They were more concerned with what benefits you could give them. They only looked at what you could offer them, what comforts you could generate in their life. You realized that they were not going to change their attitudes, and that the only thing that changed your ex was their mood, had more to do with their personal achievements or non-achievements. Time passed and the distance between the two of you grew, and they were set free. But you were the only person who kept them from making mistakes, and when you were no longer there, they began to make tough decisions and surround themselves with people of similar characteristics. They started new businesses, changed things at work, and began to work on their personal development. They began dating someone else and chose them based on their own characteristics. But that person they chose was nothing like you. They both desired what each other has, but then your ex was in stagnation. Nothing they do worked. Their partner didn't give them the support you gave them at the time. You became more relevant to your ex because of what they had lost. You. Each day passes and they are further away from their goals. Their environment is totally negative and toxic.